Hi Flosstube, I'm Christy. Welcome to Christy with a K. I want to thank you all again for the lovely comments that you left on my last video. I am feeling so much a part of the Flosstube community now because of the lovely things that you have said and the welcoming that you have given me. I greatly appreciate it. I want to also recognize all the new subscribers that I have. I'm grateful that you're here, that you're watching, and I want to thank those of you who are returning viewers. I want to thank you all for coming back. I got a lot of the interesting feedback from my last video. I guess I should apologize to those of you who ended up spewing part of your drink or your toast or whatever after I said the words cross-stitch pubic hair. Somebody said I should put a warning on my videos if I'm going to have something like that on there, and I'm not sure how I would put the warning on and so forth. You know, maybe you shouldn't eat or drink while watching my videos. Watch at your own risk. So, anyway, so for today's video, we have three finishes. I'm working on one work in progress, and I have some plans for Stitch Mania that I want to talk about. So sit back and relax and drink at your own peril, and let's get started. My first finish was Mini Autumn Owl Trio, only I wasn't going to do all three. I just wanted to do the one little owl who's holding the Starbucks cup. I never did tell you why I wanted that one. My husband works for Starbucks, and so I thought it would be a nice little gift for him, maybe something he could put up in his cube, or just something to commemorate him working there. I took the mini Haid pattern, which I don't have a picture of, but I will insert a picture here. And so he turned out really kind of cute. He's very tiny. He's, you know, smaller than my hand. Tiny. Actually, it's about the size of my palm. Is it a he or a she? I think it's a she. I named her Fiona because at one point she had only one eye. And there's a Lyle Lovett song that I love called One-Eyed Fiona. And so I called her Fiona. She's very quick, less than a page to stitch. It took me 10 days. So now I can say that I finished a Haid in 10 days, right? Right? I can say that. The fabric is 16 count, Mo's Sale. It's sort of yellowish orange. She doesn't really have a name for her fabrics, or she didn't when I bought this one. And so I just kind of left off the background and his little friends, her little friends, and stitched this. What I would say is, you know, it's a lot of money to spend for just this tiny little piece. So I don't know about, as far as value goes, if I really got my value out of the actual purchase of the pattern. But I still have the pattern, and if I wanted to stitch all three in the future, I can. So there's, you know, I do have the value in that. Another thing I did was I gridded her in with fishing line, and I found it, especially where the grids where the intersections occurred. It was difficult to get my needle in. It sort of the stitches were not even when there was an intersection. Oh, Kitty's here. Maybe she'll visit. Here she comes. Maybe not. Hey, Kitty. Yeah, you want to see? She's just out of view. You know, like kitties are. They find a way just to be not where you want them to be. She's actually sniffing the... Oh, there you go. There's a tail. Anyway, back to Fiona. She uh so I'm wondering if maybe a smaller filament or a smaller line, or I have used sulky silver in the past and that was fine, but I wanted to try the fishing line because it is a little easier to pull out than the sulky. Um, I would try it again. The other thing I think is that is the way I gridded it. I was going in and out of the fabric fairly frequently. I think it was 3 over, 2 under that way, and I see them doing like 8 under, 2 over, or something like that. 2 over, 8 under, some combination of that, and so perhaps that might help things. Um, I just don't like the distortion that it gives to the stitches while I'm stitching. They seem to have gone away since I've pressed this. Doesn't seem as distorted as it did when the fishing line was in. Anyway, here we go. That's her third appearance, right? Nice view of her tail. Nice piece of tail. Anyway, so that's Fiona. My next finish was from the Prairie Schooler M&O. I was working on Mr. Owl here. He actually took quite a while. I started him January 5th and finished him on April 26th. But I was doing my mother's lighthouse project during that time, so that's what made him seem like he took a long time. Let's see, 25 count cream Lugana. I'm doing 2 over 1 10 stitch, and Mr. Owl is, let me just fold this so you get a nice view of him. Mr. Owl is here, all finished. So for those who are new or don't recall, I am doing the Prairie Schooler alphabet. I am doing 3 pieces. I'm doing 9 letters or symbols per piece. And I started on the middle piece of the 3. And Mr. Owl was finished. So in the meantime, after I finished him, I got started right away on the bottom line, and I was able to finish the middle section. Let me show. So now I'm starting on these 3 letters, PQR. Matching things up with the rows and columns. I like to have a corner, a pretty evident corner to help me match things. So starting with Parrot would have been hard because there's really no corner up here. This one was fine, but there was nothing to match it to because it's the bottom line. So really it was only matching at the top. So I started with Q is for quilt, because look at the nice even delineated corners there. And so I could match it both top to bottom, and then it's easy to do the 2 sides together, or to make that all fit together. You understand what I mean. I'm not making sense much. Q is for quilt has ended up being one of my favorite blocks to do. These stitches in here, so those are 16 stitches, 4 by 4 of each of the colors, and it was just so much fun just to stitch those 16 stitches and then go down diagonally to the next and then down again, and it was just kind of lovely. I had fun doing that part. So this is one of my favorite blocks in this piece. So Q is for quilt. I love the quilting at the bottom of the piece here. That was fun to do. Make that thread go wandering. And then this part ended up being very detailed and took a lot longer than I thought it should. It should, you know, this is the main part. It's supposed to take longer, and then this is the quick and easy letter part, but it's not. It takes, this one took a bit of time. So, very happy there with that. So, 3 finishes in 2 weeks since I've seen you. So, pretty productive. I'm very pleased with my progress so far for the last half of April. And now we're on to my works in progress. Yesterday, after I finished the Q is for quilt on my Prairie Schooler alphabet, I started the P is for parrot. It was very easy to line up once I had this part in. It's very easy to line this up. And that is a whole lot of 3371. A whole lot. Let me show you what the finished design is there. This P is for parrot. This one is not my favorite piece on this particular booklet, but you know, it has to get done because it's part of the alphabet. I'm looking forward to the rabbit. That's next. So my reward for slogging through parrot is I get to stitch rabbit. And then my first of the 3 pieces will be done. That's kind of cool. Let me show you the whole thing. There we go. I love the colors in this. I love the ease of stitching this. It's just very pleasant. It's just a delight for me. So really, that is my only work in progress until May. And I have some plans for Stitch Mania, which I'd like to discuss with you. So Stitch Mania, it starts, well, tomorrow for me. It's Saturday today. May 1st is Sunday. Last year, I participated in Stitch Mania, but I did not do any new starts. I was working on 5 different whips at the time, so I just did in each whip 1 day for 5 days, and then I started again. And so I just did a rotation of those 5 throughout the month of May. And actually, I continued to stitch 1 day on each of my projects for the rest of the year, and really until I started this year, when I just kind of have focused on 1 project at a time this year. It was fun. It was interesting, and I loved watching the progress of everyone else. And this year, as people have shown their plans for Stitch Mania, I've been impressed with the scope of the projects that they've chosen, and the amount of projects, and the diversity of how people are making Mania work for them. It's fascinating, and it all just kind of works out, and it's fun to be a part of. This year, I was struggling between 2 ideas. My first idea was to take those 5 different welcome home pictures from Bent Creek that I showed in my first video, and do kind of the same thing as last year, but do 1 piece a day for 5 days, and then continue and then repeat for the rest of the month, and see if I could get all 5 of them finished in within the month, which would be fun and ready to go. But I also had this inkling of, you know, I have projects that have sat untouched because I've worked on other things, and so maybe I should work on those projects, and especially my bothy Kings and Queens of England has sat untouched for quite a while, and since I started it, when did I start? June 27th of last year. You know, it needs to get done. You know, I just want to see it finished, and so my plan is, well, let me show you where it is now, where things stand now with the kings and queens. So I am just a little over halfway finished. It has 6 lines total, and I'm starting on the 4th line. There are 17, or actually 18, including this partial one. This is Charles the First is partially done. And here's the project as it will look finished. So Charles the First is partially done. Then I have these 4, and these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, so 17. 17 folks, and then the little sign left to do. I was thinking they take a little over a day to do both the cross-stitching and the back-stitching, which, you know, it's bothy, so it has a ton of back-stitching. So what my plan is to start working on this and see how many of these kings and queens I can get finished by the end of May. It's possible I could finish them all. It's possible that I could get really bored of them and want to move on. But they're so easy, and it's 16 count, and it's white Aida and pretty simple floss. So I'm kind of thinking it could happen. I'm kind of thinking I could have a finish by the end of the month, and you know, maybe having the challenge of having to push myself a little bit to get it done would make this more interesting. So we'll see. I want to keep you posted. I'll be putting on Instagram as I finish each of the rulers in turn, and perhaps do an additional video to show all the guys and girls as they're finished. So that's my plans for Mania. I'm gonna be stitching some kings and queens. So that's about it for today's video. I did have quite an astonishing haul that I want to show you eventually. A friend of mine is doing the Susan G. Komen 3-day walk here in Seattle. No, she's doing it in San Diego in November, but her team is, most of them live here. And so they had a giant garage sale over the weekend to raise funds. They have to raise, since their team is so large, they have to raise like $85,000, which is an incredible amount. But they managed to do it every year, so kudos for them. They had this giant garage sale, which started on Thursday, and I stopped by just to see if there was any cross-stitching stuff, hoping that, you know, with so many families involved, that there might be something. And I found 3 magazine boxes full of old cross-stitching magazines. These are from the from 1985 to 1995. They're pretty old, but there's some really interesting pieces in there. One of the things I had, I always thought if I was going to do a Teresa Winsler that I really wanted to do the bell pull that has the fruit that goes down. And you can get that pattern online. It's like $7 or so. It's not that expensive. But I now have all the magazines that those were printed in. They were 2 per month for 3 issues. And I have them all, and I paid pennies for them because I got the three boxes of magazines for $5. No, really $5. Really. Really $5. Really $5. Really. So I have those. There's a whole lot of waste canvas projects that are a little scary, and scary to admit that I actually used to wear a sweatshirt that I had stitched with waste canvas on back in the early 90s. Yeah, I used to wear it to work. So proud of myself. Yeah. And also they there's a couple of magazines that are and introducing and cloth for Afghans, and it's kind of that stuff is old, but this was introducing and yeah. So, um, but there are some interesting pieces, and a magazine that is called Classic Cross Stitch, I think, and those really are classic pieces. I think they have stood the test of time and would be interesting to stitch now. So I want to. I've looked through all of them, you know, really quickly just to see what was there, but I want to go through them a little bit with a little bit more deliberation and really plan out, you know, what parts of these I'd be interested in stitching and you know what I need to keep. Um, and so once I do that, I'll show you guys what I was interested in and what seems really worthy of showing to you guys, because I don't want to waste your time with a bunch of really crazy patterns. Although some of the really crazy ones I want to show you too. There's some stuff. There's some stuff. Um, so that's about it for me. Again, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you for the lovely, lovely comments. And hopefully there's been no spewing this time. I really, you know, maybe you ought to think about, I don't know. Just a warning. So that's it. Next time, I'll be talking about how Mania is going, because that's really going to be my focus for the month. I'll show you some of the magazines, some of the projects that I found, some of the treasures, and we'll look into the future, what happens after Mania. Um, and so that's it for this time. Kind of a short video, but I wanted to promised you I'd be back in 2 weeks, and so I am. And I promised to be back in at least 2 weeks, if not sooner. So have a lovely time. Good luck to those who are stitching in Mania. Thank you to those who are watching and cheering us on. It's going to be an exciting month. So now it's time to go out and stitch. Stitch like the wind.